Peace and love, my friends. Thanks for being here live. Thanks for being here by recording. The price of inaction versus the cost of making mistakes. This is a time for meditation. That's the title for today. The price of inaction, the cost of making mistakes. So, you ever been in that kind of situation where you're afraid to move ahead um, because of the possibility of making mistakes? I think that one of the advantages of having a neuroatypical mind of ADD and dyslexia is that early on, I had to accept the fact that I was going to make many, many mistakes daily in my spelling and a bunch of other places as well. And when it came to public preaching, standing up in public and also typing out the bulletin, I would make mistakes in the bulletin and I would make mistakes from the pulpit. And I got a little chastised here and there for it, and I kept my dyslexia to myself, but I kept pursuing the public speaking, no matter the mistakes that I made, and it was scary, and I had to play the fool sometimes, not playing the fool, was the fool sometimes, it's just kind of what happens, but it was this quote from Meister Eckhart that I'll get to in a second that, began my deeper journey with this. As a kid, I struggled along, but once I read this quote and I entered into this public life, I decided that maybe he was right and I should be willing to make mistakes in public, which is one of the reasons why I really like live video because there's no perfection here. There's no, all my mistakes show. And I think that that is important uh, for modeling the spiritual life. The price of inaction versus the cost of making mistakes. We'll get to meditation in a minute. Meister Eckhart once said, the price of inaction is far greater than the cost of making a mistake. This means that not doing anything is often worse than trying and failing. And I'm doing that right at this very moment because at this very moment, my teleprompter is failing. So you keep seeing my hand come up here because that's what happens. So I'm going to reread that sentence so we can catch back up where we were. This means that not doing anything is often worse than trying and failing. Eckhart encourages us to take action and not be afraid of making mistakes. You make mistakes all over the place and it causes shame. I'm familiar with that feeling of shame when I was a child, especially. This inner peace that can be developed is a resource for that thing, for being willing to make mistakes and forgiving yourself in the process. If I had waited for perfection, uh, no, I wrote or berated myself for mistakes, which I did do. I berated myself for mistakes for a period of time in my life, running a loop in my head telling me how terrible I was. Maybe you do the same thing or you've done the same thing. And if I waited for perfection to have a public life from the pulpit in print, uh, I would have been immobilized and never able to speak publicly ever again. Instead, I persisted. So let's explore why it's essential in the spiritual life. Okay, we're talking spirituality here. It's also psychology and emotional, but it is definitely the spiritual life, the mystical life. Let's explore why it's essential to act, even if we mess up. When we choose to do nothing because we're scared or unsure, we miss out on chances to grow, learn, and become better. The world keeps moving, as my finger does across the screen. The world keeps moving. If we stay still, externally, frozen in space and time, we get left behind. Not acting can make us feel stuck and prevent us from reaching our full potential, our full, whatever that means to you. What kind of full potential do you want to reach? If you're stuck, you're never going to get there. Later, we might regret not taking opportunities and wonder what could have been. This regret can affect our happiness and our sense of purpose, our mission, our calling. On the other hand, okay, taking action, even if it means making mistakes, is valuable. Mistakes teach us essential lessons about what works and wasn't and doesn't work. Like putting my finger up there and interfering with the words that I can't see because my finger's on it. That does not work. Mistakes help us improve our plans and our strategies. The problems caused by errors are usually temporarily um, overcome and can be fixed. Well, let me rephrase that. The problems caused by errors are usually temporary. Thank you. And can be fixed if we learn and adapt. Sometimes mistakes can even lead to new and unexpected discoveries. Taking action helps us move forward. We make progress, setting goals, and enjoy life's experiences when we act. Taking action requires courage and a willingness to face the unknown. This bravery often leads to growth and success. By acting, we connect with others, create opportunities, and build a foundation for future success. If we fail right away, we gain valuable experience and knowledge, like I just did. I had to put my hand underneath my elbow to steady my arm to make it possible for me to read smoothly while I manipulate the teleprompter, trying to learn as I go. It's important to balance the risk of making mistakes with the rewards of action. Well, we should think about the consequences of our actions, of course. We also need to understand the dangers of doing nothing. Living too cautiously and avoiding risks makes life dull and unfulfilling, and you never progress. Meister Eckhart's advice reminds us that fear of failure shouldn't stop us from acting. The benefits of taking action, like personal growth, achievements, new experiences, and a deeper spiritual life, are much greater than the mistakes that are temporary. Setbacks, they just pass away in a time. They're temporary setbacks. Mistakes just fall behind us. As a public speaker, I had to learn this. I had to be willing to be a fool, make mistakes, and face criticism in order to grow as a person, to speak my message from my mystical heart. Maybe you've heard this saying, I learned more from my mistakes than my successes. Humphrey Davis said that. The Meister Eckhart quote reminds us that there's a cost of action and a cost of inaction. Even with the risk of mistakes, taking action is essential for growth and success. Choosing to act, we open ourselves to opportunities, possibilities, and ensure that we keep forward motion in our life as we learn and we evolve. In our actions, not our hesitations, we create a rich and meaningful existence exteriorly and interiorly. And that was one of the roughest reads I have ever done. And I did it live. And I didn't plan that. It just happened. And I think that it's an example, or could be an example, of perseverance in the face of difficulty. And I know you've all done that. But in the spiritual life, the cost of inaction, either in relationships exteriorly, or the connection to the interior presence, especially that, um, has consequences. And a lot of people are afraid of one of the consequences. One of the consequences people are afraid of is losing themselves. And I was there, my friends. I had the same problem. People are afraid, I was afraid, that when I reached a state of non-attachment, that I would lose my sense of self. who would I be? My egoic self kept rattling that in my head, which prevented me from a full commitment. I held back this little bit most of my life. Even while I was diving in through my Kriya yoga and my meditation, I had this fundamental fear. And when I released that hesitation, when I was willing to make the mistake, because I didn't know, could have been a mistake, that's when it finally happened. I integrated. Well, I'm going to take a look at the chat here for a second. Meaningful content, grammatical correctness. Which is thank you, Wanda. Thank you very much. I work on that grammatical correctness. That's a big deal for me. Clown school in your youth was a perfect choice. Then yes, I was. It was a perfect choice. Thanks, Wendy. Being overly concerned about being found lacking seems to attract the attention of people who are overly concerned with finding fault, leading to inaction. Here, Wanda. That bears repeating. Being overly concerned about being found lacking seems to attract attention of people who are overly concerned with finding fault, leading to inaction. That is a masterful quote of understanding. Thank you, Wanda. Agreed, Kate. Kat, last night I was chatting with my guides, looking for guidance in an upcoming choice. I wonder if this is my answer. I guess you'll find out if you act. All right. Thanks for being here. We have 16 folks here this morning. I super appreciate there's 16 people here. Let me know where you're from. If you want to, like and subscribe. We're going to do a little meditation here. And I realized the other morning, I made another mistake the other morning live. I was like the day before, I was like, I have a new alarm that's so much nicer than the loud alarm that I was using before. And it was disturbing at the end of meditation time. But then when it played, it wasn't the alarm I picked because I realized that I asked Siri to turn on the alarm, and when she turns on the alarm, it doesn't play the sound that I previously picked. So, my gosh. Okay. My feet are flat on the floor. Having a regular meditation practice, if you want to pursue a deep spiritual life, having a regular meditation practice helps, and that's what this is here for on Mondays and Wednesdays. We're here to help you gain traction in your practice, among other things. But that's a primary goal of group meditation. So my feet are flat on the floor. I'll do this a little bit with you. If you're new here, take a few breaths. We breathe into your belly, spine straight. Pause a moment. Exhale, follow your breath. Feel your breath rise up your spine, touch the top of your spine, move to the center of your forehead. Just feel the skin there. Inhale the same pattern. When your mind wanders, bring it back to your mantra, your prayer, your chant. And if you don't have one, pick a quick one right now. The word love or God or source or some prayer from your youth or the color blue, something like that. Pick it. And every time your mind wanders, bring your breath back to your chant. Bring your mind to your chant. Bring your breath to your chant. And follow the pattern of breathing into your belly. Letting your lungs naturally fill. Riding your breath up your spine. Feeling the front of your forehead. Pause and top and the bottom and repeat. See in 20 or less than 20. Peace and love, everyone. Thanks for being here. Hey, Natasha, Catherine, Chris. I hope that was helpful to you. Peace and love to you all. See you Wednesday. See you tomorrow, Tuesday on Zoom for Kryia Yoga. I'm glad to hear that, Wanda. In the chat, peace and love.